Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how you can use the precompiled ignored setting that was given to us in Cemu 1.12.1b's public release. So before I actually show you how to use this setting, I'm going to show you exactly why we need to use it. As you just saw, I fully loaded through my shader cache, which under normal circumstances should mean that I do not get any in-game stutter at all. However, as you can see, when I am moving Link around the game world, I am getting shader related stutter, and if you did not know any better, you would think there was some kind of problem with either your system or your installation of Cemu. This, however, is not the case. The problem itself lies in the fact that Cemu does not only use the precompiled and transferable shader caches, it also uses a third shader known as the GL cache shader. In this guide, I'm going to be showing you how you can disable your precompiled shader cache so we can completely avoid any of this horrible performance in game. First of all, let's actually load Cemu 1.12.1b. If you were on Cemu 1.12.1 and not the B variant, you will not actually have this setting. Now previously in older Cemu builds, we would use the Cemu hook provided precompiled cache ignored, but that feature is no longer usable in Cemu. Instead, we have now been provided with a dedicated disable precompiled shaders setting within Cemu 1.12.1b. Instead of just telling you to turn this setting on, I'm going to show you how you can activate it on a game-by-game basis. First of all, you want to right-click on your game and select Open Game Profile. Into this graphics section, you want to enter this brand new line of data. You want to enter disable precompiled shaders equals true. You will find this line in a copy-pastable format in the description of this video. Once you've added this line, click File, Save, and you can now close this document. This is exactly what you want to do with any game in which you wish to use this precompiled ignored setting. As I previously stated, Cemu uses 3 different shader caches. When we come to our transferable folder, you can see right here that this is my Breath of the Wild shader cache. To find our GL cache shader cache, you want to come to your C disk, Users, your username, and in this area you now want to come up and click this View tab. You then want to click Hidden Items, and as you can see, our App Data folder has appeared. You want to come into App Data, Local, AMD or NVIDIA, for my use case NVIDIA, GL cache, and then you want to follow all of the subfolders until you find this area. This is exactly where our GL cache shader will be created when we actually load our game and compile our shader cache. Next, you want to right click on GL cache and you want to actually pin it to quick access. When I open my quick access, you can see my GL cache here. I'm simply going to drag it to the top of my window so I can have easier access to the folder. Next, I'm going to just minimize this folder and I'm going to actually launch my game. As you can see, this is now the very long version of shader compilation. I'm just going to speed up the footage, but you can keep an eye on the clock in the bottom right hand corner. You will see that this shader recompilation is going to take me about 3.5 minutes. Okay, here we are now loaded into my game. I'm going to load back into the exact same area where previously when I had my precompiled shader cache enabled, I was getting horrible stutter. You can now see that when I am loaded into game, when I turn my camera and basically when I do any movement in game, I am now getting absolutely zero shader cache related stutter. Let's climb once again back to the top of this plateau where I'm going to swing my flame sword once again, and as you can clearly see, my shader related issues are completely gone. You can in fact even see that I am getting a slightly better performance than I was previously getting in this exact same area. So now what we want to do is just minimize our Cemu window just for a few seconds. We want to come back to our file explorer, back into our GL cache subfolders, and as you can see, this is partially our shader cache right here. However, it won't fully build until we close our game. I'm just going to come back to this directory, close my game, and when I come back into where my GL cache should be, you can see that our GL cache shader is now fully built. The next thing we want to do is create a new folder. I'm just going to create one on my desktop for the time being for clarity in this guide. I'm going to call this folder Breath of the Wild GL cache, and then what I want to do is I want to copy the GL cache shader from my GL cache folder, and I then want to paste this shader cache into my Breath of the Wild GL cache folder. What we are effectively doing is creating a backup of our GL cache shader cache in the event that it gets deleted after a system shutdown, a graphics card driver update, or that you use another program that uses OpenGL. Next, I'm going to show you how you can create a simple batch file that will automatically transfer your backed up GL cache shader cache into your GL cache folder and then launch Cemu ready for you to play your games completely stutter free. In the description of this video, you will find a download of this text file. All you want to do is open this text file, and inside you will see all of this data. As you can see, it's quite easy to set up. All you have to do is enter the directories of all of the locations it asks you for. First of all, you want your GL cache backups. This is mine right here. All you want to do is right click this area, click copy address, then you want to come back here, highlight this your GL cache backups, right click and click paste. Once you have the backups done, you now need to enter the location of your actual GL cache itself. As before, you want to open your folder again, come to the GL cache which we pinned to quick access, navigate through its subdirectories to where the actual cache is, select this folder on the end, right click again, click copy address, then come back to your text document, highlight the text as before, right click and click paste. You have now entered both the GL cache backup and the GL cache area. Next, we want to enter the location of your Cemu exe. As before, simply come to your Cemu folder, right click this right here, click copy address, then come back to your text document, highlight the text as we've done twice before, right click and click paste. This is basically it for data entry now that we've entered your backup area, the area where your GL cache is stored, and we have now entered the area where your Cemu executable is stored. Next, click File, Save, and you can now close this document. The next thing we need to do is actually change this from a .txt to a .bat file. In order to do that, you need to show your file extensions. To enable file extensions, simply come to your File Explorer, the View tab, and when you click File Extensions, you can see that I now have it disabled. In order to enable it, simply come back to View, click File Name Extensions, and you can now see that this .txt is appearing after its name. What you now need to do is right click, come to Rename, and then you want to come to .txt and change this to .bat. Once you have made this change, Windows will ask you if you are sure that you want to change it. Click Yes, and you should see that your file changes to a .bat or a batch file. This is the file that we are going to be using to actually load Cemu and transfer our backed up GL cache shader into our GL cache folder. Even if I delete my GL cache shader cache, minimize this window and then run the bat file, we will see that not only does it successfully load Cemu, but it also successfully transfers over the backed up shader cache. What we now want to do is actually load our game. When we do so, you will see that we are getting an absolutely blazing fast shader cache compilation, and when we actually load in game, we will have zero shader related stutter, and we will also have slightly boosted performance. So here we are loaded back into game, and as you can see, as previously, we now have absolutely awesome performance, zero shader stutter, and the game is performing exactly as it should on my system. So there you go guys, a full and complete guide showing you how to use this ignore precompiled shader setting on Cemu 1.12.1b. So that's about it for this video guys. If you liked this video or any of my other emulation related guides, then it would be awesome if you would be able to support me over on my Patreon. In doing so, you will help me to create the most in-depth and up-to-date emulation guides for your viewing pleasure. So once again guys, cheers for checking out the video. Remember to like it if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and as always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see all future videos from me.